on you to doubt El Dandy.
This is Robbie Eagles.
This is the loosest in Australian wrestling, Adam Brooks.
Hi, this is Mimic. This is 5 times the world's heavyweight champion, the Scrap Daddy himself, Scrap Iron Adam Pearce.
This is Brian Alvarez, and you are listening to Wrestle Radio Australia.
Welcome to the show, folks. My name is Josh Armour, and thanks very much for downloading Wrestle Radio Australia. This is our first episode.
Oh, yeah! G'day, this is Big Brady Marshall.
This is Brian Alvarez.
This is Dean Brady of the Millennials.
This is Jurassic Punk Sid Parker.
How many of you guys have heard the term kayfabe?
Hello, doggers. This is Jay Hunter from OSW Review.
This is Matt Grim Basso.
This is the loosest in Australian wrestling, Adam Brooks.
This is Scrap Iron Adam Pearce, and you are locked in
to Wrestle Radio Australia.
Game, I in the game, I'm champion, I'm Triple H, Undertaker, I'm your maker, bury the brother like Kane. Ooh, 1-3, hit the tombstone, hit the choke slam on face. Ooh, yeah, like a macho heel, turn like hunter muscle. If you suffer like tomatoes, I'ma keep a couple models. Ooh, and you may call me HBK. When I'm tuning up the vein, you best be getting in my way. Ooh, yeah, I'm degenerate, I love it, yes, I love it. If you wait down with that, then I got 2 is what you suck it. Too sweet, put your fangs up. Too sweet, hold another tub. Let's be busy, 23, got me feeling way too sweet.
I was trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, and it was just awful.
I've turned chicken salad into chicken shit. I will continue to do so.
Here I was, blaming AEW for feeding you chicken shit, knowing you mindless millennials would be eating it up as if it were chicken salad, when it's really been your fault all along.
Make chicken salad out of chicken shit. People is as people does, that's all there is to it. Put a square peg in a round hole, just never seems to fit. And you
This is Bianca Belair.
Hey, this is Kevin Owens.
Hey, it's Seth freaking Rollins.
It is the man, Becky Lynch.
Rhea Ripley here, and you're listening to Wrestle Radio Australia.
Hello and welcome to Making Chicken Salad, the Wrestle Radio Australia show, where we talk about everything going on around the world of wrestling. My name is Lachlan Albert, and I am your host. I am joined, as I always am, by the man behind Wrestle Radio Australia, a man who thinks guerrilla warfare is something that happens between great apes. It's Todd Eastman. Todd, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. I thought it was the fight over who got to have Gorilla Monsoon's name.
Right, yeah. You don't need that one. You're the other guy, right?
Yes, yeah, I'm the other guy.
I can be the brain. But we are also joined, speaking of brains, by the brain behind Pario Magazine and the man behind Oz Wrestling Cards. It's Jamie Apps, good friend of the show. Jamie, it's good to have you on, brother.
Thank you. Very excited for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome one tonight. We are, as always, streaming live at twitch.tv/Wrestle Radio Australia, as always, on a Thursday night at 8 p.m. So get along if you're not already subscribed here. And as we do, we've got lots of wrestling from around the world to talk about. But before we get to that, we want to talk about something happening in our own backyard. And considering that AEW is coming to, well, Todd and my backyard early next year, we thought it was about time to talk about what kind of wrestling goes on around here in Brisbane. And considering that Jamie was up here recently for Pro Wrestling League's Guerrilla Warfare, we thought it was a perfect opportunity to go around
You've gone weird again, Lockie. Every time. It's always at the start of the show. And he sounds fine. For people that don't realise this, he sounds fine before the show. You right there, Locke?
I think he just gets too excited and blows out his microphone on the intro.
Okay, while you're working on that, I'll talk to Jamie for a second, because the funny thing is, while we were at Pro Wrestling League, I actually said to Jamie while he was there, like, when we review this show, I'll have you on because I can't talk about this. So the normal rules apply for me because I'm on the show and I do commentary on the show as well. It's not right for me to review the show as well. It doesn't seem that unbiased. So it's why it's usually Lachlan and Jeff talking, and Lachlan can't talk at all at the moment, and he's getting angry if you're watching the video.
We cannot hear you now, Lachlan.
You hear me now?
Yes, now there we go. We can hear you. I was going to say, the mute idea is great, but not so much for the podcast version.
Right. Great. I mean, you can I know that you like not hearing me, Todd, but some people out there clearly want to know what I have to say. One of the great things about Pro Wrestling League's Guerrilla Warfare is, like a lot of shows that we've been reviewing lately, it's free on YouTube. Hooray! If you're accessing the podcast version of the show, then you can head down into the description and grab the link to that free YouTube copy of PWL Guerrilla Warfare. Otherwise, you can head on over to YouTube, search for Pro Wrestling League, find the Pro Wrestling League channel. You'll be able to find Guerrilla Warfare there and watch all of what we're about to talk about. So, hey, if you're a podcast listener, you can pause the podcast, go watch that, and then come back and listen to what we have to say about it. If you're here at twitch.tv/WrestleRadio Australia, let us know in the chat what you've seen from Pro Wrestling League, what you're excited about looking at what this show's got, but we're going to run through it match by match. Just before we do, Jamie, was this the first PWL show that you'd attended in person?
Yeah, first time I'd ever been up to any wrestling in Brisbane.
We've talked a lot about the way Queensland wrestling's been perceived over the years. What was your general experience coming up for Pro Wrestling League?
It's very similar to all of the sort of indie wrestling around the country, but my first note was that venue is incredible. It's like really big, really professional setup. The bistro downstairs, top notch.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the show was great. It was everything I expected. Awesome talent. Great to meet a few people that I've watched over the years, talked to, and then finally got to actually see them perform live.
Absolutely. So kicking it off, the show had a triple threat match for the Queensland Openweight Championship. This is a title that has been held by Trent O'Day since it was reintroduced. But this triple threat match also had another Queensland mainstay in EC Diamond and someone who for a long time was synonymous with the openweight title, but has now made his way down to PWA, and that's Xander Sullivan. This triple threat match ended up going the way of EC Diamond, who became the new Queensland Openweight champion. What did you think of this one, Jamie?
I thought it was great. Xander has total control of that character at the moment. He's so entertaining, and then backs it up. He's not one of those people that has awesome character and then the ring work kind of lets it down. His ring work is great. There was the double German that looked like he murdered Trent O'Day.
I've been a fan of Xander Sullivan for a long time. He's someone who, when he was doing his face gimmick up here in Queensland, had a really natural rapport with the audience. It's one of those things that you can't teach how to get the audience to sympathize with you, and he had that. And the fact that he's then transitioned it to this kind of wacky heel character and has managed to keep control of that character is really impressive. And I've always been a Xander fan, so no shock there. And obviously, when you go and train with the PWA school, you come out knowing how to wrestle, right? So I think Xander always knew what he was doing between the ropes, and then you add a few years at PWA there, you get a really top-notch in-ring worker. Did you have something to add there, Todd?
No, I was just going to say, because the character is such a departure from what the
real
forehead Xander Sullivan was when he was that before. And for him to be able to have that crowd buy into it straight away was a really sort of a test to the work he's done working on it. Because I know that during COVID, we were constantly planning to come back during COVID. But it was always like, what it was like? It was always put a handbrake on this. Okay, we're coming back now. I'll put a handbrake on this. And during that time is when Xander actually came up with that gimmick, like the idea. And he kept pitching it to us. I'm like, you're kind of one of the most popular guys in our roster, man. I don't know why we would do this right now.
Why are we flipping it?
Yeah. But like, having spent that time in PWA, not really getting on shows, so he's had that time maybe at the school or maybe at like the showcase ones they do at the school to refine the character. to the point now where in PWA they've sort of giving him his own faction. Like that faction is basically his. Like he's the third eye of it, if you know what I mean. So it's a credit to his character work as well as his in-ring work.
Absolutely. To get off just the Xander of it all, who again was fantastic, this match I think worked in a lot of ways. I think having Xander there so that it wasn't just Trent O'Day loses to EC Diamond and it's cut and dry, I think was really clever to give it that little X factor while also bringing in someone who has a history with the title. I think EC Diamond is the right person for the Openweight Championship at the moment, especially with there's a few factors. One is he is an absolute crowd favorite. The crowd are electric for Diamond. He is a great worker. Retro Bishop 86 in the chat says he needs a haircut. Don't know if I would take hair advice from Retro Bishop.
He just got a haircut.
So, got a haircut.
He learned his lesson.
Well, I don't know if I would say he learned his lesson, but I really liked EC Diamond as the new champion, and as well, you know, the Openweight Championship is special because it is defended outside of PWL, and EC is someone who really shows off how good he is in other promotions, right? So, for instance, I know that in IPW, he's got an Iron Man match coming up, a 60-minute Iron Man match with Zeke Andino. Right, so those types of matches are a great way to showcase, hey, look at this guy who's also got this Openweight Championship that he's going to defend on all these shows. I think it's a great pick, especially because, and I've talked about this a little bit, I bloody love Trent O'Day. I love everything he does. I think he's a super nice guy, a super talented worker, a super cool character. And for some reason, the Brisbane crowd does not connect with him the same way they connect with someone like Diamond. And it seems like, I don't know for sure, but the Trent O'Day character seems to be moving towards definitely a new phase, potentially with a big turn in there. And I'm hoping that with that, he can potentially get the response from the Brisbane crowd that, you know, he gets from the Townsville crowd, who are fully bought into him as a performer, because I can talk all day about how much I love Trent in ring. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, if you remember last time we talked about the last show, I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but I said that it was hard because the last show was just Diamond versus O'Day.
Yeah.
And it was hard because that crowd loved Diamond so much that, like, O'Day by being there became the heel. So having Xander there gave the crowd the ability to go, okay, we can cheer both of these guys now.
Exactly.
So it was a lot easier work for him for this one. It was a good move by management.
Absolutely. And look, part of it is just that, you know, it costs money to get from Townsville to Brisbane. So he's only, you know, coming down to work so many shows because obviously, especially because I know in his private life he's got a little one. So, you know, you need to be at home a certain amount as well. So all of those factors, the fact that he can still put on the level of performance that he does and get the reception that he does is impressive, you know. So I'm looking forward to the future of that Openweight Championship with Diamond. I'm looking forward to the future of the Trent O'Day character. And I'm looking forward to seeing Xander Sullivan come back up to Brisbane more often because I love seeing that guy wrestle. Speaking of things I'm looking...
EC Diamond too. That was like one of the first times I've seen him wrestle properly, like that wasn't just clips. I got big young Matt Diamond and Buddy Murphy vibes from his performance too. So he's definitely someone in Brisbane to keep an eye on.
Absolutely, and he's someone who I know up until reasonably recently was taking a break from wrestling. So he's someone who really recaptured that momentum very quickly, and I think someone worth keeping an eye on for interstate traveling. Speaking of things that I'm looking forward to, the future of the women's division here in Queensland is just getting brighter and brighter, and Eugenie and Lil Mars put on a match next in the card, which showcased that. Eugenie managing to take this one with a bit of help from the interfering boys from Culture, but a bit of Yeet and the Stockman coming out to defend Lil Mars at the end. I've been talking about this with friends, a bit critical of the fact that I think often when we have women's matches, because the women's side of the card is quite small here in Queensland, we are building up the number of women's performers we've got. It can be disappointing when there's one women's match on the card and part of the story involves men coming out to, affect the outcome of the match. But the long-term storytelling here made that, I think, much less of a big deal, considering that the story that's been building is Eugenie as part of Culture and the team of Lil Mars, Yeet, and the Stockman. And that's been building for some time now, coming up towards Project Revolution 5, which is going to be the big show next month, which seems to be the point that that's going to come to a head. So that's really exciting. Lil Mars and Eugenie Lil Mars has been traveling quite a bit, getting her name out there, as has Eugenie. And I think that for women that have not been wrestling for a super long time, they really show just the quality of training that we now have up here in Queensland. What did you think of this one, Jamie?
I hate to say it, I've seen these two have much better matches against each other. I thought it was still very entertaining, but I've just seen them have better matches. It felt a little bit rushed and like they didn't click on a few things, which kind of threw me off. But also, people talk about aura. Eugenie's entrance, Eugenie has that when she comes out. It's like, oh, that's a star right there. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was a solid match. But yeah, I've just seen them have better. And yeah, like you said, Pro Wrestling League Women's Championship. I know we're getting tag titles on the next show. When do we get the Women's Championship? Because it seems like these two are just begging for that at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I think off the top of my head, there's 4 girls in the division. So it's getting to the point where it can be a possibility.
2 or 3 more, maybe.
Possibly. Because otherwise it's like we've got Christina Cade, Billy Mack, Eugenie, Little Mars. Is that it?
I think that's probably
pretty much all I can think of.
Yeah.
There are, look, we've got Retro Bishop in the chat saying more to come, and we know that there are, women who are building up there. Part of a problem that I've seen a little bit is in Queensland, the women's wrestling can be a little bit fractured in terms of people working in one company. I know that IPW has a small roster of women that tend to just work at IPW. The same is true of UPW, with a number of women who just work at UPW. And I know that that's a place where Queensland is moving forward in terms of having those talents work in multiple places. So if we can see a bit more of that in terms of the women's side of things, that could really be very exciting. But I also know, like Retro Bishop is saying, there's a lot coming forward in terms of what that's going to look like.
Yeah, and you know that I'm a fan of Tessa Armstrong. I'd like to see her get out and get more matches under her belt in other places, just to get that experience, because that's how you get better. Absolutely. Is by working other places, working other territories, working other crowds. So
and especially
it's all
I know that
though.
And it's something I've said a fair bit, is that part of the difficulty with women's wrestling is that because there's a smaller roster, there's a smaller number of people that you get to sharpen yourself against in training, right? And sharpen yourself in matches in front of people. Whereas if you're working, like, the blokes have so many different people to work against to pick up little things, little style tricks and those types of things, that I think just the more exposure to different crowds, different opponents you can get, the better that's going to come out to be, You
see, the training thing, I'll kind of argue with you with, because they just all train together. The guys, the girls all train. At least when I came up, like, I trained with Demi, I trained with Izzy, you know what I mean? Like, I trained with Miami, like we all Savannah. We all trained in the same group, so they're taking all the same. They're doing all the same reps that the guys are doing, in most cases with the guys. So that's why, like, a lot of the times we don't really care how we hit the girls, because we know we've been training with the girls, and half the time they hit us a lot harder than what
They
we
hit harder
them.
anyway.
Yeah, Demi used to beat the shit out of us, especially when she came back from Japan.
I can imagine.
It's like
wish I had
Charlie
that
Evans
video.
in PWA. She hits people mega hard all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, speaking of hard hitting, the next match on the card was Dick Riggs and Rip Riley. I, for very different reasons, love both of these guys. I'll pass it over to you, Jamie. What did you think of Riggsy versus Rip?
First time I've seen Riggs, immediately connected with him for some reason. Probably he cheated a little bit wearing a custom baseball jersey. That's always a way to get me to be a fan of yours. And then Rip. What an impressive big man.
Yeah.
For someone that size, did not expect him to move around as well as he did and do some of the moves that he did. A little scary moment in this match when he slipped off the rope, but other than that, wow, great match. Super hard hitting, very fun, very entertaining, and really got the crowd into it as well with the "We Love Dick" chant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they do.
It's a classic.
Little tip for you. That slip was planned.
Okay, I did
That
not
was a
pick that up.
plan.
That looked legitimate, like he was about to die.
That was a planned spot because they'll work that, tell the story about him taking his leg. So
yep,
they did that spot to do it. I was
And
like, because
Rip
I even
is one
said
of
to Rip,
those
"You're right,
guys
man." He goes,
who-
"Oh yeah, it was all planned." I'm like, oh, okay, shit.
Oh yeah, I thought he died.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rip is one of those guys who is so damn good at what he does that if he wants it to look like a mistake, it will look like a mistake. You know what I mean? He's someone who I think from how much I've seen him up here, I often have to re-realize just how good he is when I see his matches. Because you go, oh yeah, it's Rip. Of course he's going to put on a banger. But he is, like you say, Jamie, a man with such size that just moves super cleanly, super athletic, does moves that you're not expecting him to do the first time you see him, and really knows how to structure a match as a big man as well. And I think that's really important. Dick Riggs is, again, one of the guys who works a lot up in Townsville, who that whole roster up there is just insane. But the top end of it with O'Day and Riggs and Sam Cannon and Seth Tylers and Bojack, like, I think is the craziest 5 people you can put together. Dick Riggs is an absolute machine who just takes punishment like no one else. Like, he is great at getting beat up, which
Those
makes
chops
it
to the
so...
back from Rip.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Made it feel really strange to me that he was doing a heel character here. And without much of a change to his identity. It was just like, oh, I flip off the crowd now and tell them that they suck. Right? And I think, like I was talking about with EC Diamond earlier, like I was talking about with Xander Sullivan earlier, he has the ability to just make the crowd like him. He can come out and smile and give you a thumbs up, and immediately you go, oh, this guy's great. I love this guy. I want to see him win. So I feel like he's working against it, trying to be a heel, because it's hard not to cheer him. He's just got an endearing factor to him. But he's
just got
also
that cool factor with the way he struts out. As soon as he walked out, I was like, this guy's cool.
Yeah. His original gimmick was that he was a detective, which was very interesting. But he's just got such a charisma as, I'm just a dude who's here to fight. And
With
you
a
go,
mustache.
yeah, I'm behind that with a mustache. That's it. So I think he was working against it being a heel. I like that he got the win here. I loved this match. I love that hard-hitting style. I think this was a blast. Moving on from that, tag team action coming in. The ongoing story in PWL being Chris Dink's tag team therapy putting teams together and trying to help them get along. And part of that is the team of Craven and Zach Reynolds, who had something of a blood feud up until recently, but now seem to be on the same page. They unfortunately could not get the better of Wakehol's Most Wanted here, the team of Prison Yard Boys, that are just a ton of fun coming out in the orange jumpsuits. Of course, at the end of this match, despite Wakehol's Most Wanted getting the win, the beatdown was for all of them coming from Decadence, and it was announced that there's going to be a tables, ladders, and chairs four-way match for the new Pro Wrestling League tag team titles, also involving Decadence and Strong 94. This match was chaos, just a chaos tag team match, and I think that's a great thing to have at this point in the card to keep, because, you know, like we said, there was just an absolute brutal thudding match with Riggs and Rip, so having something a bit more fun and chaotic I think worked really well here. Jamie?
And it fits too with that story that they're building to the four-way TLC match, which you know is going to be chaos. This is kind of a little teaser into that. I popped hard for the new tag team name of Craven and Zach Reynolds as well. Bad Blood, coming out to Taylor Swift's Bad Blood. Particularly after interviewing Craven recently and finding out that he is actually a T Swift fan. I was like, what?
Yep.
So yeah, I got a big pop out of hearing that music play and them coming out to that.
I know that there was a show that Craven was not able to work because he was at a Taylor Swift concert.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's real true stuff there, so that's awesome fun. I really like
the other note I had was there was maybe a little bit too much orange going on in this match as well. Like,
yeah, Zach Reynolds has often worn the orange and the orange jumpsuits, and yeah, maybe coordinating another color for Craven and Reynolds might have been the way to go. But you know, that I think when we get to a four-way match, hopefully either that's not a factor or it's
everyone just
easy
wears
to
orange.
differentiate. Yeah, just 8 people all in orange.
I'm never.
It's all right. There will be red.
Never a fan of everyone wearing the same color.
No.
That's
bring
when
two sets of gear to the show.
Especially when they took the jumpsuit off. Cockroach took the jumpsuit off and was in the trunks. So then it was just like 3 guys in orange trunks.
Yeah.
But
Retro Bishop is Wakehol's headwear stole the show.
If you want to have a chaotic match, you just get Cockroach and say, here, just have a match with anyone. Because I don't think you can do a normal match.
TLC match
Cockroach from Wakehol's Most Wanted. Oh, it's going to be a blast. And I think every person in the match will be there to try and kill themselves spectacularly for the enjoyment of the crowd. You know what I mean? There's just so many guys in that match who are going to go, I'll take a ridiculous bump. So that'll be good fun. And, you know, when we're talking about ridiculous punishment, we're going to talk about what happened between Bobby Bishop and Jesse Daniels. This is a very long time feud, incorporating elements of pre-COVID ownership of companies and all sorts of stuff there. With look, one of the questions that I have about this with some of the stuff is, who's it for? Because I think the answer is me, and that's kind of the sum total, right? Because so much of it is based in the history of Queensland wrestling from 5 years ago, and there are only so many people who have that investment with these people. But regardless of that, the clear hatred between these two guys is coming through in this storyline. The fact that Bobby Bishop absolutely tore into quote-unquote Jesse Daniels when he came to the ring before getting the mask off him and revealing it was not at all Jesse Daniels, who came in from out of the crowd and put the beating into Bobby. They just threw bombs back and forth, and this ended with Bobby Bishop winning by disqualification as Jesse Daniels took him out with the chair and then hit a murderous concerto. This is clearly building to something big as a payoff. I don't know exactly what they're going to do to pay this off, but whatever it is going to be brutal and emotional, right? And I love when feuds run deep. It's not just, oh, these two guys want to see who's the better wrestler. These guys truly want to destroy each other. And I think that's an important part of wrestling. Do you agree, Jamie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's so much better when there is that. Not every match just is, I want to be the best man. Like, you need some of those different storytelling beats. And I think the hatred of this one was great. But like you said, who is this for? It confused me as someone that doesn't have that 5-year history. And this was the match that was like the prime example for me. Rewatching the show on YouTube, this would have been a perfect one to have a vignette before the match to give you that context and the history. Because watching it on YouTube, there's kind of that awkward cut between matches. And I think just putting a vignette or something between the matches would just make that video flow a little bit better and also give me the context for this match.
Yeah, I will say that's kind of my job on commentary for that angle. Is to sort of fill people in, like how long this has been going for, what the history of it is, because I've been here for the whole thing. Like, not so much not so much Seb, not so much like Dink, but I've been here for the whole thing. So I can tell you, like, Jesse used to own AWA, and now blah, 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 and with COVID happening, and then Bobby took over, and now, obviously, Jesse is angry about that because he feels like it was stolen from him, and so he's back now to exact revenge. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if I did it right or not. It's weird because there's some shows I come off and I'm like, yeah, I did a really good job, and the other shows I'm like, yeah, it was, yeah. And that, like, that show for me, I was like, yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, you probably threw yourself off with the opening promo.
Yeah, that really got me mad.
Which they left in the YouTube cut.
Of course they did. Of course they did. I'm surprised they didn't replay it.
But yeah, like, I just think that one little piece was missing.
I've been replaying it in my head since it happened.
Todd's flub.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a big
Too many
fucking rib
Mitches.
on me.
Too many Mitches.
Yeah, it's a big rib on me to have two fucking guys as Mitch, feud against each other, which I have to sell.
Who do you manage, Todd?
Ryder? Believe me, it's Ryder and McCarthy now. That's all I've been doing. When I've been doing anything.
Because Todd said Mitch McCarthy in the promo, I turned to my friend and I went, Todd doesn't make mistakes. Is this a double turn?
Yeah, Todd makes mistakes.
No, turns out Todd makes mistakes.
Todd just makes mistakes.
But yeah, so I think that for me, I don't know. Like, I recognize the AWA title. I know that Todd would have called that out on commentary. I don't know who in the building would have known that was the AWA title other than me, which can be a bit interesting. But
there was
clearly,
someone on merch. I can't remember who that person was, but there was a person on merch. They filled me in.
You were like, what's that? That's the AWA title. Okay.
What is it?
What's the AWA?
There was clearly the emotion in what was going on that got the crowd to buy in. And I think, that can be enough sometimes.
And the chair was brutal looking.
Oh,
it
disgusting.
looked like Bobby's head exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, like, it was just Bobby. So.
Yeah. Who really cares, right? Moving on from this, Strong 94 versus Culture in a tag team match. Retro Bishop in the chat says, to be fair, I assumed a video played before the match, and also, yeah, it was more just a reaction match than verbal. Thanks there, Retro Bishop. Strong 94 versus Culture, following on from that, I cannot say how much I enjoy seeing Culture wrestle. I'm a Strong 94 fanboy. This was made for me. The end of it had Yeet and Stockman causing a distraction against Culture for Strong 94 to take out the win. Jamie, what did you think of this tag match in the semi-main?
Like you said, Culture always fantastic. The look of Moko when he comes out with that, like, God type makeup, great. JJ is awesome. Once
so
JJ
good.
fills out a bit, he's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. I keep, like, at least at White Bay, I keep putting him in positions where he has to grow. I'm just sort of like forcing him to do something. Like, here, this is a gimmick. This is going to be your gimmick for a little bit. Why? Because you're too in you. You need to get out of you. So here's a gimmick for you. So
and yeah, I meant like physically too. Like once he
exactly. Yeah,
gets a bit bigger, he's going to be so awesome.
He's just a little baby.
He's a little fella.
He's just a little kid.
He's a little fella.
He's a buff baby who can dance like a man.
He has got a ton of upside.
So much upside. And it's clear to me that the people working with him want to see him succeed as well. They want to, see that growth in him. I know that I had a quiet word with Moko after the show, and he asked me, how did JJ look? Like, that was a thing that he was concerned about, right? So you can tell that there's a lot of love for JJ Avery and a lot of people who want to see him grow and succeed, and you can see just how much potential future he's got there.
Yeah, well, like him and Culture work a lot together as well. Like, I know a friend of his, like Certified Puppy, is tagging with Moko this weekend, so they work a fair bit together, which is good.
Yeah, and Renegade was awesome as well, and Culture. Every time I've seen Culture, I'm like, yeah, cool. They're awesome.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's a standard thing saying Renegade was good. He's always good. That's the thing about him. It's annoying, but it's the thing about him.
He's reliably entertaining, good in ring, connects with the crowd. You can't ask for more from Renegade, So, I thought this was a lot of fun. And again, building that long-term storyline with Culture versus Yeet, Stockman, Mars. That's just fun, that you're getting the long-term build for the big payoff at the end. And speaking of big payoff at the end, the new Pro Wrestling League Championship belt was on the line in a four-way dance. The champion Rufio having to defend against Outback Adam, Mitch McCarthy, and Mitch Ryder. Somehow, with the help of his new bodyguard named Riker, was able to come out on top in this match, still the champion. Clearly, this match had a lot of bad blood between Outback Adam and Rufio, and a lot of bad blood between the two Mitches. So that seems to be the way it's going to split off for Project Revolution 5, with Outback Adam and Rufio, who I believe has actually undergone a name change. At the end of this show, Adam called out not Rufio, but Riley, right? That was the big... Ricky. That was the big thing here, is that it's really personal between these guys. So having that element to it, I think, is really exciting and really seems to be the future of what that is going to look like going forward for the title picture. And McCarthy and Ryder are two guys who I have never shut up about how good I think those guys are. Never. So I'm excited to see where that goes. Jamie, as someone who was seeing a few of these guys for the first time, what did you think of this four-way match?
Very entertaining. And yeah, it did that split off, like you suggested, with the Mitches and Outback Adam against Rufio. Mitch McCarthy, shockingly huge. I did not realize how big Mitch McCarthy was. And he walked in to the show and I was like, oh, okay, that's a big man. Adam is a huge crowd favorite. Like, he comes out, crowd just loves him so much. And then that was only made even better by the introduction from the announcer of he's got a nice tush, and it's only made better because he's not wearing a championship belt. And it just kept going, and the crowd was getting so heated. So that was really cool. Like, a simple storytelling thing to make it even more clear that this is the guy we want to be rooting for this match.
Yeah, because when he was the champion, it was like hanging over his championship belt. It was like they just took it. Now he doesn't have the championship belt, so they just played along with that, which was really good to work the crowd.
And this match epitomizes is this whole promotion just a rib on you, Todd? Two Mitches, Ryder, Riker. There's a lot of similar names here.
Mate, tell ya. The funny, well, the little side thing is my goal was to try and crack Riker, because he was supposed to be very solid.
So I'm like, he didn't.
I'm just
sell anything.
I'm gonna make him laugh. At one point he did, but he put his head down so no one could see it. Because he come to the back and just like, you fucking got me. I went, yes. It was at the very start of the match when like I had to go to the commentary booth. So I walked past him, and as I walked past him, Rufio told him to get off the apron, and he looked at me. He tried to be more menacing. I went, "Go on, do what Daddy says. Do what Daddy says, little man." And he's like, "You motherfucker."
That'll get him.
Yeah.
Oh, so. I had just a little bit of trouble taking Riker seriously, just because I've worked with a student named Riker before. So anytime I thought of the name Riker, I was picturing a little year 5 kid, and that really takes away
Jonathan
some of the
Frakes?
menacing. No. I think it's supposed to be an allusion to Riker's Island, right? The Marvel Comics prison. I think that's what they're going for.
I feel that was
it's definitely not. Yeah, it's definitely not Riker from Star Trek.
No. He's got a beard, but he doesn't have that beard.
No.
But yeah, I think after the match, Outback Adam calling out Ricky for a title match and putting his career on the line. So Project Revolution 5's main event being Ricky Utomi versus Outback Adam in a championship versus career match is like exactly what you want for the big show of the year in terms of Pro Wrestling League. So overall thoughts, again, I
One
thought
other
this was
note for that match that I just wanted to point out too.
Yeah.
Mitch Ryder's pile driver on the stage could only be seen in the video via the hard cam.
Yeah, I saw that too.
It was maybe one of those things where it was like, maybe give the ringside guy a little heads up.
A little bit of a heads up.
This is a big spot for this story moving forward. Make sure you catch this bit.
Yeah. That's probably you're 100% right. It's a missed opportunity. One of us should have went up and said to him, "Hey, we're going to do this when they get up the stage. Follow us." I guess we kind of assumed while they were brawling up on the stage, someone would follow with a camera.
Well, I think there was only one ringside cameraman.
There was one roaming, yeah.
That makes it a bit harder. So that was my one thing. I was like, oh, we missed an opportunity to give that guy a heads up. So that we got
you're
this.
You're 100% right. I was only thinking about that today. Because I was like in my head, because we're getting ready to cut a promo on him. And in my head, I'm trying to think of like shots I could use in the promo, so it's not just a static one of like Mitch and I standing and talking to the camera. Because I'm trying to stir away from that sort of a promo now. Like I sort of want something like when I'm talking about it, here's a vision to tell that story. When I'm talking about this, here's another vision to tell that story. And then I went and looked at the YouTube on it, and I'm like, shit, we didn't get the shot.
Mm-hmm.
So. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's a missed opportunity, unfortunately.
Yeah, but overall, like I think that this as a main event was really enjoyable because it had those storylines going through, and having the 4 people in there meant it was a bit of chaos, but they're all such good wrestlers that fundamentally it was just a well-worked, well-put-together match. So I really enjoyed it. And if you want to check out any of those matches we've talked about, check out the whole PWL Guerrilla Warfare show. You can either, if you're listening to the podcast, go down to the description and click the link that's there, or you can head to YouTube, search for Pro Wrestling League. You can find PWL's YouTube channel where Guerrilla Warfare is up there for free. And look, if you're going to be in or around Brisbane in exactly a month's time, you can check out Project Revolution 5. It's going to be on Saturday, the 5th of October. We've already got a couple of matches announced, including the aforementioned main event, Ricky Utomi versus Outback Adam, career on the line, career versus title, as well as tables, ladders, and chairs, a 4-way match with Wacall's Most Wanted, Craven and Zach Reynolds, Bad Blood, Decadence, and the name of the last team has just escaped me. Strong 94, all competing for the new Pro Wrestling League tag team titles. So make sure you get along to Pro Wrestling League Project Revolution 5 on Saturday, October 5th at the Kedron Wavell Services Club, or make sure you subscribe to the Pro Wrestling League YouTube channel if you're not in Brisbane, so that when that goes up, you can catch it.
And if you're in Brisbane, get dinner downstairs first.
Yeah. Head down to the little restaurant there. It's some good stuff. Good feed.
Yeah. It must admit, we always go down in the afternoon.
I got a steak and veggies, and it was much more affordable than I expected.
Yeah.
That's what an RSL's for.
Yep. Very good steak, affordable, and yeah, delicious. And then followed by a great show.
Not the only wrestling coming up. We'd be remiss not to mention that this weekend is a sold-out show down in Melbourne. So you will not be able to get tickets for MCW Vendetta, which is shaping up to be, I've said it before, one of the best-looking Australian wrestling cards I've ever seen, potentially the best. Kicking off with an MCW Intercontinental Championship match with Lucky O'Leary, Robbie Thorpe, Tuckman, and Jarvis. A match between Ryan Rapid and Mitch Waterman. A tag match with the Natural Classics versus Carlo Cannon and Emin Osman. Ricky South and Edward Dusk going one-on-one. The Icons versus the Pareja for the MCW Tag Team Championship. The MCW Women's Championship on the line with Erica Reed and Kingsley, and the MCW World Heavyweight Champion Slex defending his title against both Caveman Ugg and Tommy Knight in an Icons Rules match. And if you want to catch that one, Stream Horizon is the new home of MCW. They're exclusively streaming every MCW event from 2021 onwards. All the shows between 2021 and 2023 are free on Stream Horizon, so make sure you get into that. We've also, while we're talking about Australian wrestling, had a couple of announcements for World Series Wrestling, which is hosting their 20th anniversary shows coming up, and they have announced 2 stars to date. First of all, the former Jinder Mahal Raj Desi is going to be appearing, as well as Matt Riddle going to be on those shows. So those are building up to be an incredible series of shows all around Australia. And I believe the next talent announcement for that is dropping tomorrow as well. So keep your eyes out. They're going to be in Melbourne on Friday, the 28th of March next year, Brisbane on Saturday, the 29th, Adelaide on Sunday, the 30th, and Sydney on Monday, the 31st. Those tickets are going to be on sale very soon, next Wednesday, the 11th of September, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you get around that. And another show, if you're in Melbourne, coming up on the 29th of September is Renegades of Wrestling Fever Pitch. We always check out those Renegades of Wrestling shows, so make sure you get around that, because that is going to be a great fun time. But we have got so much more to talk about going on here in wrestling in Australia and around the world, so we're going to be back right after this.
Yeah, we're just going to take a quick 30-second break, and then we'll be back with a special surprise. So we'll be right back after this, guys. Join us Monday night on Wrestle Radio Australia as Todd Eastman and the Big Boy Renegade went to Suncorp Stadium to talk to Timeless Tony Storm and Paul White all about AEW Grand Slam Australia. That's 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. in WA on our Twitch, Facebook and YouTube channels.
Now let me welcome everyone to the bleak sands of Queensland. Stinking hot days, cold beers and cheap land. Bikini-clad backpackers and weird plans. California beach sands, but instead of street...
Oh, how professional does that look? Jesus, I'm good.
That was a good video.
So good. Damn easy. Welcome back to Making Chicken Salad, the Wrestle Radio Australia show where we talk about everything going on around the world of wrestling. I'm back with Todd Eastman and Jamie Apps, but we are also joined by a very special guest, Jesse from Pro Wrestling League, one of the brains behind the operation. Welcome to the show, Jesse.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for shitting on my show.
First time the word Jesse and brains have been in the same sentence in a while.
Look, I'm going to be honest, Jesse. On this show, the hard part of my job is I have to say every negative thing I can think of about whatever show we're reviewing, because otherwise I just sound like a fool going, "Oh, Pro Wrestling League's so good. I love going to Pro Wrestling League shows. They're so much fun." Right? Like, that's not a podcast.
No, it's not. It's not at all. But no, thanks for reviewing it. It gets more views for us. I love it.
Oh, and they're shows that should be getting a lot of views. Like Jamie said, who made the trip up and caught the show in person, you know, it's the kind of show where there's so much talent that you go, it is so enjoyable to see that person live and in person. So, you know, we just talked about Guerrilla Warfare, the show that is now up for free on YouTube, but we also talked about Project Revolution 5 coming up in exactly a month's time on the 5th of October. What can you tell us about that show coming up?
It's a big one. I'm really excited for it. Very excited. It stressed me out a little bit, but no, it's going to be a really big show for us. Todd knows because I whinged to him a bit about it.
I'm just glad I'm not wrestling for it.
We haven't announced everything.
Fuck him in that ladder match. It'll take
6 months. I told you, 6 months notice for every match.
But yeah, no, it's gonna be a really good show. Ringside's already sold out amazingly, so yeah, show's going nuts already, and it's gonna be big.
Look, you're saying amazingly,
I wanted to
but
come up
that
again.
doesn't surprise me at all. They tend to sell out fairly quickly.
It just keeps growing. It's great, and people are finally seeing what we're doing in Queensland, and yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah, and that's the idea too. Is like,
look, if you do want to see if you're available on that date and you're not in Queensland,
go on.
Did he freeze?
Is Lachlan lagging?
I think he did. No, because he blinked. Are you all right, mate? Lachlan,
am I here? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh. We could see you and you could move. You would just look like you'd frozen and then you blinked. I'm like, I think he's trying to play a prank on us.
I thought he had a stroke.
Yeah. No, I can see both his hands. The best thing about Pro League is that I love that you're pushing the local talent over a little. Like, you see a lot of the promotions, at least back in the day, they would rely on bringing in like interstaters. Every month was like the interstater of the month would come up to sort of strengthen the card. Whereas it's like now we've got a strong enough roster up here, we don't need to.
The talent pool is so deep now. Like, and the guys coming out of 3 count and stuff, like the training they're doing, it's amazing how much the skill has come up here. Like, and I can't fit everyone on as much as I try. Like, there's just such a deep talent pool up here. We don't need to bring in interstaters every month. I think Queensland's in a spot now where we can rely on local talent.
Yeah, well, I remember complaining to you because
there's people on the show that are beloved by that crowd now, so you don't need to bring in, oh, here's X guy from Melbourne or Sydney. There's 5 guys here that you love.
Yeah. Like, some of them are so ridiculously popular. Outback Adam, for example, like the pop that kid gets is insane. They just love him. So yeah, it's cool to see.
So you're at Kedron now. That's sort of like, that's the home base. It's not looking to go anywhere else or to spread across the state at all. Or?
We'll see. There's some things in the works for next year to expand a little bit. There's some exciting stuff coming up. I can't really talk about it just yet. Todd knows a little bit. I think he's trying to push me towards something here.
No, not maybe.
I'm not very good at secrets, so don't probe me too much. But yeah, we are looking to expand a little bit.
Up early next year.
Well, look, I'll be the one to ask the question, right? Early next year, there's going to be a lot of eyes on pro wrestling in Brisbane, and potentially a lot of people who listen to this kind of show coming up to Brisbane on a particular weekend in February, could we maybe expect to see something out of the local wrestling scene, particularly Pro Wrestling League, around that weekend?
You could. I would recommend to maybe keep Friday the 14th free.
Okay, there we go.
There is something really big coming. I'm very excited. We'll probably announce a little bit more. What's today? Very soon. I don't know how much more I can say.
Today's Thursday.
I've been in a different country each month. I'm a little bit lost.
Here's the thing. Like Monday night, I've got the interview that I did this week with Paul White, and then Renegade did an interview with Tony Storm. Do you reckon you might be able to come on that night and talk about things? Possibly? Maybe?
Very maybe possible.
Very maybe possible?
Very maybe
lock
possible.
That very maybe possible in, Lachlan.
I'm putting in the show notes that we've got a very maybe.
Hopefully I can say a little bit more.
So look, while we're pressing you with the hard questions, something that we discussed on the show was the possibility of a Pro Wrestling League Women's Championship. Do you think that is something that's on the cards in the future?
It's definitely on the cards in the future. We need to get a little bit more going. The girls have only just started to come up. Like, we've just gotten to the point where they're getting really good, and we're getting more come through. I know in the school right now there's a couple. Bobby sends me footage of how they're going, and I'm actually quite excited to see what's in the future. Watch this space.
Wonderful.
It's hard. We do 4 or 5 shows a year, so we've got to space things out a little bit.
You can't introduce belts every show for 3 months.
No.
Kind of are at the moment.
I was about to say, you're really Captain Answers, aren't you? Can we do it? I can't really spread it. How about belts? Watch your space.
There's a plan, but with 4 or 5 shows, it does make it difficult to not just have a new belt every show. So we have to spread things out a little bit.
How hard? Well, I kind of know the answer, but like, how hard is it to tell, like, continually, like, weaving storylines when you're only doing the 5 shows a year?
It's difficult. It's fun, but it does make some things a little bit difficult. Like, we don't have the monthly shows to do things. Sometimes we have to fast track. Sometimes we rely on videos. Sometimes, I saw earlier you were talking about like the AWA sort of part of the storyline. Not everyone is up to speed, and we don't want to dump everything. How much kayfabe stuff do we go in on this?
No, don't. Just let it go.
Okay.
Mate, if people are watching this, they know what the score is.
Okay, cool. So it is hard to be able to tell a lot of the story without dumping too much too soon. With that one in particular, I have a pretty strong idea of where it's going, what's coming, and time. Just some things take time. And it is a 5-6 year story in the making, realistically. Like, those guys genuinely hate each other. That's not necessarily storyline. So
Retro Bishop in the chat saying kill kayfabe.
I fucked it.
Look, something I want to ask, because it comes up a lot when we're having these conversations about the Queensland shows, is that, Jamie's said it a few times, is that you hear some names come up over and over again from Queensland, but some people have a lot more exposure than others. Are there any names from the Queensland scene that for anyone out of state you want to say, definitely keep an eye on this person?
Up and comers?
Todd's pointing to himself, so obviously not up and comers.
Oh, sorry. That just happened.
Washed up. There's definitely, like, up and comers, like JJ. That kid's oozing talent, and as he finds himself, holy shit, he's going to be really exciting to watch. I'm drawing a blank on every possible person on our roster right now.
You got to think of Toa.
culture in general.
Yeah.
Like, those guys are amazing. The girls, all of them, are really putting in a lot of work. Like, both Jeannie and Mars are traveling and getting around. Those two in particular, I think, is something to watch.
I'm a big fan of Christina Cade as well. I think she's going to be really good.
Yeah. We haven't used her too much on Pro League yet. But, yeah, she's like, some of the stuff that chick can do at training is amazing. And some of the stuff I've seen her do elsewhere. So there's a lot of people coming up in the scene. I think who else is? I don't want to give him any credit, and I'm hating myself for saying this, but Zach Reynolds has actually improved a little bit. And it kills me to say this.
But he's really good.
But he is actually getting pretty good. I hate little bastard, but maybe he is someone to watch in the future. I hope you don't watch this.
Talk about
I know from my own experience when I was putting together my roster for the trading cards next year, I was like, okay, who from Queensland am I going to get? And I think I had like twice as many as I could possibly even use. Because there are so many great people up there that it's just, they need someone to see them.
They do. Yeah. And that's what why we put the shows up for free. We just want people to see what is up here, because Queensland's kind of been the redheaded stepchild of Australian wrestling. And people need to see it's changed a lot up here. The scene is growing. The talent is amazing. So, like, yeah.
Like, I know it sounds, and no, it sounds like someone that's talking like a homer, and like I'm a homer because I work with these guys week in and week out. And as I look at all the other rosters around the country, I think we have a deeper, at the moment, a deeper level of people that are all on that same level at the moment. Whereas, like, in a couple of years, they're going to graduate to being like really, really good workers. Not that they aren't really good now, because I've said tons of times that I could see a lot of these rosters being on a PWA or a MCW or a Riot City card and not standing out as being not good and not as good. You know what I mean? They would more than hold their own against anyone that's on those rosters.
I think they can now. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Like Mitch Ryder, as you know, holds his own against anyone in the country.
Yeah, speaking of Mitch Ryder, was just on the Conquest tournament for Wrestle Rampage just this past weekend, showing that he can stand with that level of talent, you know?
He can.
Yep. And then there's
One shot Mitch McCarthy.
Up. Like, that's another place where I could see Mitch Ryder popping up on the Coliseum as well.
Yeah, I wish.
Like, he would fit perfectly well. He wouldn't stand out as, this is just like a pity pick to make sure we have that Queensland representation.
Yeah.
Like,
we don't get pity picks from Queensland.
No, we don't.
we don't get them.
We do not. The one thing I will say is that Mitch is the guy, like, and it's probably me like sounding like I'm talking about the dude because I manage the guy and I'm on the shows with him. He's one of those guys that can work with any style, and he's going to stand out. Jeff, I can't let you in because I haven't made the thing for you.
Chuck him in.
Sorry. That means I've got to get rid of the thing. Hang on. Son of a bitch. Now it's not going to look as good.
Oh, we are allowed to swear on here. Good.
While Todd's doing that, I'll mention that if you can be in the Brisbane area on the 5th of October, right now you've got to head to bit.ly/KWPWL. That's the initials for Kedron Wavell Pro Wrestling League. So bit.ly/KWPWL so that you can get a hold of tickets for Pro Wrestling League's Project Revolution 5, which by the way, are still like ridiculously affordable. Like, it's this thing where it's such a high quality show, and this is true of all of Australian wrestling, for the level of shows that we are putting on, for tickets to be, you know, the most expensive tickets to be $40 is craziness. You know what I mean? So it's absolutely worth getting along. As we're working on getting Jeff involved, is there anything else you wanted to add there, Jesse?
To the show? No, it's just exciting. I'm a bit nervous for that TLC match.
Mm-hmm.
That's 8 loose guys. I'm terrified.
Well done, Todd. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Jeff.
I don't think there's enough of us. Let me see if Welchie and Bros are available.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Yeah, just a health and wellness factor on that TLC match is probably terrifying as the promoter.
Yeah, it is. We definitely got people on standby for that with medics and stuff. I'm terrified what these guys are going to do. But it'll be exciting to watch for the audience.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be entertaining, no matter how brutal it is. Well,
is there
Jesse?
Is there anything that you haven't announced yet for the show that you could possibly maybe drop?
Get him fishing for exclusives.
I know,
Mate,
right?
fuck,
You
I'll
know the
try.
card for the most part.
I know, and I'm not allowed to say anything.
Nah.
Listen, dickhead, I get in trouble if I say anything from you.
Yeah. So why are we changing it now? Why are we doing this?
It's the same when he opens his fat trap about my show as well, mate. Don't worry about it.
EC will have an exciting match. That's all I'll sort of say. Like that should be pretty fun for everyone to watch. We'll announce that maybe next. I don't want to say too much.
Yes.
Yeah, let's
Can we
just
get
wait.
a,
It'll come
can
out
we
on
get
social
a
media.
probably, maybe, perhaps for that Monday night?
You can. It's a pretty confident, probably, maybe, maybe happen.
Yeah, great.
I want to show you guys a bit of a poster on my other screen here, but probably shouldn't.
Because you'll get in trouble from somebody else.
I will get in trouble from someone else.
See, look at me looking after you now.
I'm trying to... Let's get this here. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for
See
putting
tag
together...
belts. How's that for a teaser?
There you go.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, lovely, mate.
Very nice.
There you go. There's a teaser. I gave you something. There's a possibly, maybe, something else.
If you're listening to the podcast after the fact, you should join us on Twitch because you just missed a really nice looking belt. So, you know.
And
The
that's
new
why
belt
it's
that
worth
was
being
introduced at the last show was great too.
Radio Australia.
Sorry, two people talking over. I missed that.
The new belt that you introduced at Guerrilla Warfare.
Yes.
Oh, the main title.
It's nice, isn't it? Sorry, 1 second. Okay. My wife's telling me to shut up because our kid's going to sleep.
I've been trying to do that to you for
Well,
years.
look, we'll give you the opportunity to do that, Jesse. Thank you so much for joining us here at Wrestle Radio Australia. Once again, I want to encourage everyone to head to YouTube and subscribe to Pro Wrestling League so that you can catch all of the action from Guerrilla Warfare. And if you're going to be available to get to the show on the 5th of October, you can get tickets at bit.ly/KWPWL. Thank you so much for your time, Jesse.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for reviewing us. Thank you for putting more eyes on Queensland wrestling. And, yeah, come to the show on October 5th and February 14th.
Thank you for having me at the show.
Anytime. You're always welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
We're gonna kick you out, and we're gonna go to a break. And when we're back, we'll be back with the normal stuff we talk about right here at Wrestle Radio Australia.
Adrian Manera here from World Series Wrestling. We are back with our Legacy Tour. We're invading Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, and the tour concludes in Sydney. Tickets go on sale Wednesday, the 11th of September at 9 a.m. Get in early, these events will sell out. Don't miss this opportunity to celebrate 20 years of World Series Wrestling.
just thought you
Spoke to us this morning.
Boys, how are we doing? Slexy, how are we? What's that?
I got a gift.
Oh, do you?
A gift for the gift.
Oh, you shouldn't have. Brooksy, you shouldn't have. Jarvis, hey, how you doing? Yeah.
Sorry, Rocky, couldn't be here to see you open it.
Oh, that's okay. I'll send a message. Oh, this is what I think it is.
You know what it is.
Oh, baby!
Look at that.
Icons, baby!
Yeah.
Oh, what size is this?
This is a medium.
Oh, I'm shredded, you know.
Yeah.
Good program.
Slexy, I mean, surely you've got other gifts for me, right? Like, surely it's not just the one.
You're not a champion. Time will come.
Let me give Rocky a call real quick.
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah, I'll give you back.
Woohoo! Wow! This is look good, doesn't it? Do I get the music as well?
Mate,
music?
You're gonna get everything. But more importantly, are you ready for this triple threat match?
I am ready.
Yeah? You're ready for the Tuck Man? You're ready for Lucky?
I am ready for those both.
So I'm just on the phone to Rocky right now, and I thought with the GM powers that I've got, I can be inserted into your match. And Rocky says it's all fine. I mean, he's on the phone right now, so he thinks it's a great idea.
Give me
Oh, no problem.
Rocky.
Yep.
Okay.
Rocky's the boss, dude.
Alright. It was a triple threat match for the Unit Commonwealth Championship.
Okay.
Jarvis, you're in the match.
Yeah.
It's now a fatal four-way. Hey, remember.
Yeah.
Robbie's the champ. He stays the champ.
Robbie's the champ. He stays the champ.
Trying to get my name on this t-shirt now, Brooksy.
One step at a time, honey. One step at a time.
Settle down.
Hey. Icons.
Icons.
Robbie stays the champ.
Robbie stays the champ, brother.
Well, it seems I touched a nerve, Ricky, when I called you a goon for the Icons. But there's no need to get so emotional or give reintroductions. I know all too well who you are. That you are undoubtedly one of the best professional wrestlers in this country. But to be the best, you have to hold the championship that is unfortunately around the waist of Slex. Now you could take it, prove everything that you claim to be true, but instead you choose to prove me right and be his little errand boy. Let me pose this to you. Do you think the Icons brought you on for all the reasons that you believe, or perhaps with all the enemies that they have in MCW, they just poured honey in your ear till you would go after the person that they're too afraid to themselves? Food for thought. Let's cut to the chase. You said that you're coming for me, which is music to my ears because I was worried that you might play hard to get. But you see, Ricky, I want this fight. I don't think you do. Because I have been choked until my face turns blue. I have been beaten into the ground. I have had my flesh split open, tasted my own blood, and smiled and asked for more. You said you were coming to finish the job. I want you to try. Strike me down, and then pray to whatever God that you hold dear that I stay down. Because when I get back up, I will show you why I am the most dangerous thing in all of MCW, because you are right, I am the biggest threat to Slex's title reign, but to you, I am something much, much worse. I'm your opponent at Vendetta. I am the fate that you chose. Ask the MCW faithful what I have done to people for fun. And then think, what will I do to someone who's pissed me off?
MCW Vendetta. Triple threat match for my MCW Heavyweight Championship. Tommy Knight, Caveman Ugg, everyone's saying The odds are stacked against me. But if you haven't learnt your lesson by now, you know that the Icons, we always have a plan. Now, Caveman Ugg, Tommy Knight, two of the biggest, most dominant heavyweights in this country. You guys might not know this. You actually have a lot in common. Two of the biggest heavyweights. You're both really, really stupid. You're both really dumb. You both really stink. Your hygiene is horrible. And you both have never had the MCW Heavyweight Championship. Now, you can change a few things going into this triple threat match. You can read a book. You can smarten yourself up. You can try and get a plan to try and take me down. You can have a shower. You can grab some soap. You can use that. Use it on your body. You might want to smell nice and get rid of that stench when you get in the ring with the business. But one thing that won't change and will never change is the fact that I will remain the MCW Heavyweight Champion. So you can try and come up with a little plan of working together and trying to take me down. But at the end of the day, the Icons, we always have a business plan. And we end up on top. Icons house, Icons rules, because business is booming.
Join us Monday night on Wrestle Radio Australia as Todd Eastman and the Big Boy Renegade went to Suncorp Stadium to talk to Timeless Tony Storm and Paul White all about AEW Grand Slam Australia. That's 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. in WA on our Twitch, Facebook and YouTube channels.
Now let me welcome everyone to the bleak sands of Queensland. Stinking hot days, cold beers and cheap land. Bikini clad backpackers and weed plans. California beach sands, but instead of street.
Welcome back to Making Chicken Salad, the Wrestle Radio Australia show where we talk about everything going on around the world of wrestling. I remember when this show was just me and Todd, but we are joined today by both Jamie Apps and Jeff Setti. So we are going to have to smash through this news. I'm
here every week. Fucking hell.
We didn't know you were gonna be, Jeff.
Yeah, like I wasn't, but I was happy I could make it for the second half. Yes.
For those people that don't know, I had to madly make this whole thing again because Jeff decided to turn up.
I wanted to say, if you are not here at twitch.tv/Wrestle Radio Australia, you are not appreciating how quickly Todd can put together a beautiful frame with all of Jeff's details on it.
It was well done.
Look, we've got some news to get through, and we've got enough people to give thoughts on it. First of all, we're going to touch on a big one here. Per Sean Ross Sapp at Fightful, Odyssey Jones was removed from WWE TV when domestic violence allegations came to light. Fightful has learned we've not heard of an arrest or charges being pressed in relation to the situation. They've reached out to WWE for comment as well as clarification on his status. Talent had not been informed of the situation. Look, it's always disappointing when this kind of news comes to light, and I am glad that WWE is acting quickly to make sure that the people they've got in the company are able to represent the company positively. Are there any more thoughts than that from the crew?
It must be something fairly serious if they've just removed him straight away instead of because even when there's been other ones in the past, they'd be like, oh, we're doing an investigation, and then after the investigation but they just straight off. I don't know if that's because it's the new TKO regime and that's how they're going to deal with things or what, but they've definitely moved swiftly for this because nobody knew this happened. Everyone had thought it was a computer glitch when Odyssey had been removed because he'd been removed from the roster page. And it's just a glitch. And then no, he's gone. Sorry.
I just hope that they don't drop this intriguing angle that they'd started with a New Day. It was looking really interesting. And I hope they don't suffer because of whatever it was that Odyssey Jones had done.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who they put in his place, though. That's the thing. There's no one ready-made just to drop in there. Do you know what I mean?
Over Femi.
Nah, because Ober's not a tag team. He's not in that.
I don't mind
Like, he should
Oberfemi
be
as a call.
I think he should just be. He should be introduced the way Bron was introduced.
Yeah, I basically agree with you, but you know, as I said, the whole point is I hope they don't suffer, because I was getting really interested in the story they were telling, and so I hope it's not dropped.
You good, Lock? He's gone again.
Who?
He's having issues.
Yep,
tonight.
I'm
Lockhart
just
is having
like
issues.
weirdly cutting in and out. Sorry, everyone.
But you're
What do
not
we
for
think
us,
of
brother.
Joe Tessitore's debut on Raw? Personally, I really liked his work for his first show on Raw. Obviously, when it's the first time doing wrestling commentary, I think there's places where we will see definite improvement. But I thought, just in terms of sound, I didn't mind it at all. Do you agree, Jamie?
I could not tell you. I don't watch WWE.
Don't you?
Not at all. I think I saw like a
In that
tiny
case-
clip where I saw a clip where Drew attacked Punk, and who was his partner? The commentary partner was like, "Oh, I don't know who that is. Just someone."
Barrett. Wade Barrett.
Yeah, someone in a hood, and Joe was just like, "That's Drew McIntyre." I was like, "Makes sense."
That's Drew McIntyre. That's a huge Scottish man.
Yeah. Which I don't mind having that dynamic of this guy's from sport. He's not going to play into. I don't know who that is when it's clearly this guy.
Yeah. Look, for his first go, I thought he was really good. I thought he's definitely a fan, because he had everything down, like the name. I think he got one call wrong for the 3 hours. And it'll be a 3 hour live show and then to get one thing wrong, that's not a bad effort for someone that's first time in commentating wrestling, which is a totally different beast to commentating sports.
I liked him. I thought he had a good presence and a really nice timbre to that voice. Really deep, interesting voice. Didn't seem as, I want to say, sucky as some commentators do on their first go around. Like sometimes they sound like they're sucking up to the faces a little bit, and that's across all wrestling. But he just seemed to be a good play-by-play guy. Just here's what's happening in front of us. Yeah, obviously he picked a side with CM Punk, but I really liked it, and I liked the chemistry that was developing between he and Barrett. I think that there's room for that to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. We've found out that Janelle Grant will not appear in the upcoming Netflix docuseries on Vince McMahon. According to a report from Brandon Thurston, the producers of Mr. McMahon reached out to Grant's team to interview her for the project, but were unable to secure her participation. Mr. McMahon will debut on Netflix beginning September 25th. All 6 episodes are scheduled to be released at once. My concern going forward for this show is knowing the upcoming deal with Netflix and WWE. Do we feel like this show is going to go as hard as they maybe want to in terms of what's going on with Vince? Or is there going to be an element of WWE-ification of the story to make sure that the WWE deal going forward isn't damaged at all?
Who knows?
I don't think so, because it's Bill Simmons doing it.
Yeah.
Bill Simmons doesn't give a shit. Bill Simmons, like he told ESPN to stick it when they had his, I can't remember what it was called. He created a brand, and then they built that. Then he just told them to stick it, and then went and made his own thing. And now his own thing is massive, and he's the one. He's the reason why there are the ESPN 30 for 30s. That was his baby. That was his idea to start with.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Todd. He did that excellent Last Dance about Jordan and the Chicago Bulls a few years back, didn't he?
I don't think that was him. No, that was
Because that was great.
group. But he's the one that started all of that stuff. Like he did, like Jordan Rides the Bus, like all the ESPN 30 for 30 documentaries. They come from his creation. He had that idea of doing it because back in the day, people didn't really think that was a thing that could could come off. And he was like, no, I believe in this story because this is what I do. I tell long form stories like this. I think they will stick to the facts because the facts are the facts. And WWE have just now seems they have put themselves at a distance to McMahon, and I feel like they will just let that story get told because it's just what happened.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think that. Sorry, Jamie. There's a little bit of a separation of church and state, if you like. I think the documentary arm of Netflix have nothing to do with what's going on with WWE. Those contracts are already signed. So, and I get the feeling WWE have just gone, have at it. We're not going to be involved, but have at it.
Yeah, like TK, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And I think you muddy the waters if WWE do get involved and try and get them to tone it back because they're, on one hand, they're trying to get away from Vince as much as possible. So then if they're telling Netflix we need to tone that documentary down, they're contradicting
They're doing
themselves.
exactly what Vince would have done. Yeah.
And like you said, those 30 for 30s back in the day, they went to some really dark places, which I'm sure the NFL, who are a much bigger entity, would not have wanted them to go to. So if Bill's happy to do that to the NFL, why is he going to stop when the WWE's there?
Yeah. I'm interested. So I'm gonna at least check out the first episode to see what it's like.
And it's not surprising that Janelle's not involved too. With
moving on.
Pending litigation.
Julia debuted this week.
Just no, it's absolutely not surprising, Jamie. Also because it's a court case. What did they expect? Like, there's a court case on the boil. She can't talk to them.
She can't say anything.
But also though, like playing devil's advocate, if they didn't reach out to her, what's the story coming from that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they didn't even try to contact Janelle for.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You've got to like. We want to tell this story. We understand it's a court case. If you can't comment that, but the offer
you
is
have
there.
to at least make the attempt.
Exactly right.
For sure. Lachlan, you've gone on mute.
Lachlan is silent again.
All right, let me try. Getting on from that, Julia debuted this week on NXT. The end of this week's NXT saw Roxanne Perez come to the ring to boast about her win over Jada Parker at No Mercy. Chelsea Green first interrupted and was hilarious, saying that there was no reason for her not to be the number one contender for the NXT women's title. That was when Julia came to the ring. She quickly took out Green before focusing on Perez herself, saying that she wanted a title match at the premiere episode of NXT on the CW, which takes place a couple of weeks away on October 1st. What do you guys think of that?
I mean, they did it dirty with the filming of the knee, but aside from that, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, very bad camera angle on that.
Yeah, the production slipped up. That's very unlike WWE to slip up like that.
They've been watching too much AEW.
Yeah, you said it, mate. I love this. I thought this was great. Chelsea Green was so funny in her role. She's just such class.
I haven't seen it all. So they didn't let Julia talk at all. They didn't have her talk at all.
She just said UCW. That's all she said.
Cool. Yeah.
So that said everything you kind of need to know. Lachlan, are you back with it? What did you think of it?
I think I am back. It's not often I agree with Bully Ray. He said that he thought it was a mistake to have Chelsea Green in this segment because Chelsea Green always outshines everyone else that she's in a segment with. And while I don't disagree with that, I think having Julia immediately drop someone is a good move if you're going to put her in the NXT women's title picture basically immediately, right? There needs to be credibility to her beyond just her name. So I think having her immediately take out a main roster competitor very quickly is quite a nice move.
I haven't seen it, but you know what I like about it? Is that everyone thought, with all the rumors that were coming out that somebody's showing up this night, everyone thought it was going to be Julia. So when Chelsea's music played, straight away they would have shit on it. And just gone, oh, it's not Julia, it's just fucking Chelsea Green. They're going to do this. And then to add it up, no, here she is. I like that. I like the little swerve.
I also like that they basically using Chelsea constantly as a troll. Like, they're using her to troll the fans. Like, she almost won the Money in the Bank. Would have been fine winning it. So they're constantly putting her out there to just troll people and have them going, oh, shit, it's Chelsea again. But there's substance to it. They're not overplaying it either. They're not like doing it every other week. They're doing it very sparingly. And it's working for me.
Absolutely. Bash in Berlin has happened since we last had a show, so let's talk about the results there. Only one title changing hands on this show, so we'll run through. The undisputed WWE champion is still Cody Rhodes, who defeated Kevin Owens. The World Heavyweight champion Gunther managed to retain against Randy Orton. A title change did happen for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. The Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, lost their titles to Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. We had Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, the Terror Twins, defeat Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan, and in a strap match, which unfortunately involved corner touching, CM Punk defeated Drew McIntyre. I thought that this show was really good. I'm disappointed that the Unholy Union had what I consider to be their momentum basically stopped. I know that they are back in contendership for the title, but I don't really see a point to the trading the titles here unless Cargill and Belair are going to hold them for a while, which I also don't see a point in.
I mean, I do see a point in them holding the belts for a while because they're great press. Yeah. They're great doing press, and they're doing press holding 2 belts.
For me, the disappointment was actually that Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan didn't win. I wanted them to win because now we're going into a feud that still has a little bit of heat. But can you imagine? Can you imagine if Dominic had pinned Priest? Priest would have lost nothing, and Dominic would have just had a shit-eating grin for weeks.
Well, I don't think that Rhea is going to win the belt off Liv. So I think this is the way of like staving that off. Okay, she got to win here. She's going to beat her ass all that, but when it comes down to it, Liv's still going to get away with that belt because they're going to leave that for a while until maybe build it up to a Mania or a big show, sort of like that. So that's why I think they've done it. Is because it's that little okay, we gave the fans what they wanted to see. They wanted to see Damian and Rhea. Like, because they're getting beaten down. They were getting beaten down every week by these guys. Sure, Rhea and that were up to start with, but at the end of that night, Judgment Day always stood over them. So they needed to get that little bit back. Now they got that little bit back and they're on top, they'll get their legs cut out from under them again, like she did with her knee on Raw.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on and talk about All Out, the upcoming AEW show. I'll run through the card and we can talk about anything that takes our fancy after that. In the main event, the AEW World Championship will be Bryan Danielson defending against Jack Perry. There's going to be a steel cage match between Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. The TBS Championship will be on the line with Mercedes Moné defending against Hikaru Shida. It is back to being the International Championship.
Yeah, it
the
is.
International Championship will be defended by Will Ospreay against Pac. There's going to be a Chicago street fight between Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander. It's going to be MJF versus Daniel Garcia. Kazuchika Okada will defend his Continental Championship against Kyle Fletcher, and the winners still to be announced.
No, not Kyle Fletcher. Not Kyle. It was the winner of Kyle and Kazuchika today.
It was Kyle or Okada, sorry.
Yeah.
It's Okada versus 3 winners of a series of matches that are coming up. And then the AEW Tag Team Championships will be on the line with the Young Bucks defending against the Blackpool Combat Club in the form of Claudio Castagnoli and Todd's favorite wrestler in the world, Wheeler Yuta. I'll go to you first, Jamie.
Have you seen the video we got Todd as a present for last year's anniversary? Yeah, I just wanted to check in case you hadn't, so we'd play.
I was a little bit disappointed that Yuta wasn't part of.
Hey Toddy, this is Wheeler Yuta. You're on.
I'm going to delete that out of the queue.
I'll re-upload it.
It's never going anywhere.
Never giving you access.
Jamie, have you got any thoughts about any matches in particular on the All Out card, which is happening on September 7th, just a few days away?
Yeah, so it's Sunday for us, so we actually get to watch it.
Very nice. I believe I read somewhere that Swerve Hangman is main eventing over the world title.
Yeah, I heard that too. I heard
Which
that as well.
makes a lot of sense. That storyline has been built up for a long time, and the segment today was phenomenal.
Dude just burnt his house down. It could be a main event.
Yeah, I think they said unsanctioned lights out cage match, so that's going to be brutal. Those two have murdered each other in the past, so I think that's probably the highlight of the card for me. And Jack Perry's going to get insane heat in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would agree, but I still maintain it's way too soon after their last premium live event, pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it. It's just ridiculous having a 2-week gap. The build outside of the Hangman and Swerve match, there's no build on almost anything. Oh, maybe Statlander and Nightingale, but there's not a lot of build.
MJF and Garcia. There's build on that. He tombstoned him off the second rope, and then he hit him over the face today with a wine bottle and busted him open. There's a storyline there.
There is a storyline carryover, but it is hard with that 2-week turnaround. Everything does feel very rushed.
It's ridiculous.
100%. And I think that's going to be solved next year because they're moving them way apart from what I read. So that's good. I don't know how or why Blackpool Combat Club got a tag title shot now. I understand that the trios champions, but when there are other teams in the view that could get a shot before them. I'm looking forward to Monet and Sheeta just because I like Sheeta. Not so much Monet, but I like Sheeta. I think she's great.
And I'm looking forward to
Park
Darby
and Ospreay.
Allen.
Park and
Darby
Ospreay should
Allen
happen.
being one.
Where we?
Sorry, I'm looking forward to Darby Allen being one of the 3 guys going against Okada because hey, he's not in the card yet, and we've got to get him somewhere.
Oh, he's still got Moxley chasing him. So
he's probably going to fight Mox.
Well, I don't think he wants to fight him. I think that's a swerve. I think he wants him to join him for some reason, which is weird.
Yeah, because Darby doesn't fit that style.
No. I want Moxley just to have every guy that's been in AEW or AEW adjacent that have been on Bloodsport. That should be his crew. And then go after Danielson and the other two.
My dark horse prediction is that because AEW can somehow always manage to make the worst booking decision you can imagine, I think, because this is the worst booking decision I can come up with, so this is my prediction, is Swerve Strickland winning his steel cage match against Hangman Adam Page by escaping the cage.
Yeah, he's not escaping the cage. No.
All right. Kevin Kelly. Sorry.
Have the Murder City Machine Guns been confirmed to have signed anywhere yet?
No.
Because
still not.
It's 2 years since they last appeared in an AEW ring. The All Out is 2 years since they was their first appearance. So maybe that's something. Maybe that's why that tag match is kind of
Maybe. But it's heavily rumored that it's WWE they've signed with. So whether or not that is true, that is... Yeah.
That's the rumor. Kevin Kelly and the boys, Brendan and Brandon Tate, have filed suit against the AEW. Kelly alleges defamation from Ian Riccoboni and AEW, stemming from Riccoboni making comments on a Discord channel regarding Kelly mentioning a film on air that has been linked to QAnon conspiracies. He's seeking monetary damages, claiming AEW breached his contract and that the situation has made it difficult for him to find work elsewhere. Kelly was fired from AEW in March. The Tate twins were fired in April. Tony Khan Khan stated publicly that their releases were due to no-showing events, which the brothers later attributed to a miscommunication between them and management after they were booked to fly out of a different airport than they normally use. The claim that they no-showed events is at the center of their defamation suit against Khan and AEW. Kelly and the Tate twins are also requesting the court certify a class action suit against AEW over the company misclassifying its talent as independent contractors rather than employees. Quote, I applaud the bravery of these plaintiffs in bringing this long overdue action, challenging the misclassification of pro wrestlers as independent contractors instead of employees. We know we are in for a long, hard fight, but in the end, I believe justice always prevails, said attorney Stephen P. New. So, interesting to hear that AEW is copping the lawsuit for independent contractors when they were supposed to be the place that treats their wrestlers fairly and is under this defamation case. Obviously, you know, it's upsetting when you've got these arguments where people are saying they can't find work elsewhere when there's, you know, things that people have said about them publicly from a big company. That sucks, right? So I'm hoping that this gets sorted out in a positive way. And if this ends up with wrestlers being confirmed as employees in AEW, that'll be a really good thing, and that'll obviously have repercussions elsewhere.
I was about to say that it's one of those suits that come up, like you said, every now and then. They keep trying to do this, and we're going to see how it works. I do know that Stephen P. New isn't one of those lawyers that just takes a case on without thinking he has a very good chance of winning at least a portion of it. So that in itself is going to be very interesting, especially the Kevin Kelly one. Don't so much know about the boys, but the Kevin Kelly one is going to be very interesting to see what happens with that.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts about that before we move on?
I did see one of the complaints was that Kevin Kelly wasn't asked to commentate the Sting match. I thought that was silly.
I think that's bullshit. Because I remember listening to him on, what was he on? I think it was on with Eric Bischoff. And they had it was surprisingly fair conversation, if that makes sense, when I talk, because you know the people will say like Eric's inclined to bury AEW. He really just sat out and let Kevin tell his story, and like the story was basically it seems like he feels that Riccaboni sort of white-handed him out of a position by saying, "Oh, this is that," and then went on to a Discord saying that he was a QAnon guy and blah blah blah. And yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes as a court case. I don't know either way how it's going to happen, because you just don't know. I know both of them want jury, so if they get a jury trial, that's when it becomes really interesting.
And these things can, you know, in essence, go either way. They can be good or they can be bad. And speaking of good and bad, every week we like to talk about our chicken salad and our chicken shit for the week. Let's have the guests take it away first with chicken shit. Jamie, what did you not enjoy this week?
Ooh, okay.
Ew. If you'd like some thinking time, we can pass it along and Jeff can steal all of Todd's.
Yeah, let Jeff steal all of Todd's. I'm trying to think what happened this week.
I've got two. Firstly, you know, we mentioned it earlier, but this short gap between two pay-per-views, Jack Perry being the number one contender. I know it's to get heat in Chicago, but it's just, you know, it just doesn't sit well with me. But what really irked me this week is apparently Mark Henry was interviewed somewhere in regards to Janelle Grant and others who are complaining about Vince's behavior. And he said something, and there's another one as well. And he said something like, it was fine when you were earning all that money. Or it was fine when you were getting the Rolls Royce. And that's really bad. And the other one that's really bad is Hogan saying wrestling fans forgave Chris Benoit for all that shit. That is disgusting. How fucking dare you? Did I just steal yours, Todd?
Yeah, of course you did, because you went the extra one like a fuckhead. You always do it. You always fucking do it.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what I'm here for. Yeah, that appalled me. But Todd, I'm sure you can extrapolate more on that interview because I know how much you listen to Impulsive. So
yeah, I don't. Oh dear.
But yeah, those wrestlers
Jamie,
appearing on speaking out of turn. Shut up.
Can you go, please, Jamie? Because I have to think of something now.
Yeah, I would echo what Jeff said about that. That 2-week turnaround, that is a killer. Particularly when you're buying the pay-per-views. It's not like WWE can get away with it because it's a subscription thing. But when you're dropping, I think, 30 Australian dollars on these shows, 2 weeks in a row,
why was it
rough?
Why was it cheaper online for the bundle than it was on the app?
That's always the way Fight is.
Is it?
Because the app gives you AU dollars, and the website charges you in American, and then it gets converted. So you always get, majority of the time, you save a little bit. So that's what I did.
I also don't know this for sure, but I know that some apps add a percentage because if you pay through an app, either through Apple or through Google, they take a cut of the in-app purchases. So if it's done in that way, then they sometimes increase the price to accommodate for that extra cut. I'll jump in with my chicken shit for the week because I know that this was previously my chicken shit and I'm going again. This is the one that never ends. Hey, what the fuck was the point of a 1 hour time limit draw between Castagnoli and Okada? Sorry, I don't know if it was an hour. I can't remember if that's exactly right. But a time limit draw for the Continental title, right, that was before All In. And then did not have them wrestle at All In. And now are not having them wrestle at All Out. Because Okada's got 3 opponents, and none of them are Castagnoli because he's over in a fucking tag team match. What was the point? Why did they do it at all if they're gonna... And the whole point was the Young Bucks being heels by going, oh, you want more of this? Well, we're not giving it to you. Okay, Tony Khan, give it to us. We clearly want more. You've set us up to want more. You've set us up to show, hey, Castagnoli can take the champion to the limit. It's very possible that if there was more time, he would have been the new champion. Maybe he's the rightful champion. Who knows? No one, because we're not fucking doing the match. Great stuff, fellas. Great stuff. Todd?
Okay. Mine is a WWE one. I don't understand why they put... that they put Braun Strowman in Bronson Reed's place after Bronson put him through the roof of a car. Not only that, but the guy, like, in kayfabe, was taped up to high heavens on his ribs, could barely walk, and I think during the interview, like, somebody said, Pierce is just like, are you cleared? And the doctor, he's like, yeah, I'm cleared. The doctor looked at me, oh, you're good to go then. Like, you're not good to go, not when there's probably 100 guys in the back there, fit as a fiddle, that could go and take that place in that 3-way. So, yeah, that's just... It made zero sense. I know it sucks. It's another chicken shit. It sucks that poor Bronson got COVID at this particular time. At this particular moment in time when there's so much promotional behind him. There's so much like build coming up. Because he must have been going to win that 3-way. I would have put a good money on he was going to win that 3-way. So, yeah, that's... I can't believe it's like 3 or 4 years on and we're still saying COVID sucks. But COVID sucks when it hits like that. So there you go. It's a quick chicken shit.
All right, moving on to our chicken salad. Once again, guess go. But before we do, actually, Alex Fireheart in the chat says, chicken shit. Hey, WWE, I don't expect you to send people over to be in the N1 that you're doing anything with. Fair enough. But can we send over better people than Tavion Heights and Josh Briggs? Like, there are better NXT names if we're not sending main roster people with nothing to do.
I'm sorry, but I thought Tavion Heights was pretty good in that tournament. The matches I saw him, I thought he was pretty good. Briggs, I'll agree with you. But Tavion Heights was pretty damn good.
Yeah, look, I can't argue with that. I like Tavion. Jamie Apps, we've done the chicken shit. How about some chicken salad? What did you enjoy in wrestling this week?
It's one of the things that AEW's been doing recently. The Renee Paquette close-up interviews with people, like the Jamie Hayter, Will Ospreay, Brie Bella over the last 2 or 3 weeks. They are so good. Renee is so good at what she does in getting that emotional storytelling and getting away from the storyline, but still weaving it back somehow by bringing in the personal is so good. And the Jamie Hayter one was really insightful too on just how banged up she was before she went away.
Yeah. Like she's a very good interviewer, Renee. Like her, I don't mind. I haven't listened to it a hell of a lot, but the ones I have of her podcast, I really enjoy. She's just a good conversationalist, which is what makes a good interview podcast. So yeah, totally agree. Really good stuff that they're doing. The stuff that they do like that, they do a lot of stuff right, and they do a lot of stuff wrong, but they do a lot of stuff right with that production of behind the scenes stuff. The pre-recorded promos in particular, they do really well, and that's like you said, Jamie. That's a perfect case of it when they're doing stuff with her, and yeah, completely agree.
They just need to put some of that stuff on TV. Some of the post-match interviews and stuff that you get so much of. The Kyle Fletcher ones over the last month with Don after matches where he's talking to Ospreay or he's building up to these big things, and you get a lot of that emotion out of him to give you a reason to like this guy that's not just, oh, he's great in the ring. But if you just watch the TV show, you never see that.
Yeah, well, the one time he got that live promo, he knocked it out of the park, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
With MJF.
Jeff, do you have a chicken salad for the week, mate?
Well, I'm at the risk of stealing Todd's. I have a couple, but let's see how we go. Firstly, it's that on Monday night, Todd Eastman is playing some interviews with Tony Storm and Big Paul White. I think that's lovely. I think that's really nice. And please tune in, have a listen to them, because we here at Wrestle Radio Australia make good interviewers. But I really, really like the segment on Monday Night Raw with Gunther against Sami Zayn. It was just so beautifully done. It was subtle, but yet it finally exposed an insecurity within the character of Gunther. He is insecure about Sami Zayn. And I think that makes for interesting television. Considering it wasn't in Montreal, the idea of Sami being champion is certainly popular. And I thought it was really, really well put together. Well done to whoever produced that part. And if it was the two guys themselves, just fantastic. I love that segment.
All right. Todd, has yours been stolen?
Of course it has.
Oh, come on, man. I had to give you some kudos.
Do it anyway, Todd. Put it over either way.
Yeah. Look, it's not even so much that I was lucky enough to get to do it, because taking behind the curtain, we had less than 24 hours notice that was happening. So we sort of had to move real quick. And being that the way we do it, I couldn't really just go down on my own. So luckily, Renegade was free. And the added bonus of that is that Renegade and Tony have been friends for 15 years. They started day one wrestling school together. So it was really nice. And it was like, I interviewed Paul, he interviewed her, because I was like, just interview your friend and have a good chat. So the interview you'll hear with her and Renegade isn't one you're going to hear anywhere else, because they barely really talk about stuff that's happening in AEW today. It was a lot of them about how they come up in wrestling. So it was a really interesting conversation, and it was just really good to see two friends that hadn't seen each other for a long time be able to catch up. And for me, talking with Paul White he was a really good interview. Really interesting. Everything he said was very you could tell it wasn't something that he's just like a patent answer that he always gives to these press conferences and blah, 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 blah. It was like stuff that he'd really thought about, and stuff that he mentioned during it. I was like, wow, that's like a lot of the thought that he puts into like wrestling, like how he planned matches, etc. A lot of that sort of stuff was just like, well, it was like, oh wow, you did that. Okay, cool. So I'm excited to have people hear that and see that on Monday night.
Awesome. We've got a couple of chicken salads from the chat. First off, Alex Fireheart saying the Triple Crown title match this weekend gone was very fun. Was expecting good things from Kento Miyahara and Yuma Aogi already, but they went about half an hour or so and kept me interested. Solid main event title match. We also had Beetle Bailey 1996 saying that his chicken salad would have to have been the BLP Crowning Glory / the wrestlers combined. I was quite entertained and enjoyed who was crowned. That's awesome to hear, and we obviously love having anyone in the chat here at I'm out of it tonight here at twitch.tv/Wrestle Radio Australia on a Thursday night, letting us know what your chicken salad is. Mine, for once, is actually something from AEW, and I love when wrestling goes all out to provide a moment. And in the main event, the very end of the show today really put the finishing touch on this huge story that was coming up between Swerve Strickland and Adam Page. And
are you trying to get us demonetized?
Just stop. David Byrne is going to manage Edward Dusk against you. Will you stop already?
I do love David Byrne. That'd be okay if I got to meet David Byrne. I loved that they really went all out to make this a blood feud. You know what I mean? It's the man burned down his opponent's childhood home. It doesn't get more intense than that. I love when wrestling goes full cartoon silliness mode, and burning down someone's house is that level. Right?
You're sitting in a recliner at the front drinking a scotch.
Drinking the scotch out the front of the burning house, dropping the match into the gasoline. So good. So much
as the
fun.
windows blow out to just totally no-selling it.
Like, comically extreme. I absolutely adored it. And if you absolutely adore keeping up with what's going on in wrestling, you need to be subscribed to Wrestle Radio Australia. We're here at twitch.tv/Wrestle Radio Australia every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for making chicken salad. So come along, hit the follow button to get notified when we go live, and hit subscribe if you really want to support what we're doing. Speaking of subscribing, podcast platform of your choice. Subscribe to Wrestle Radio Australia, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict. Go on, search for Wrestle Radio Australia, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you get onto every single one of our shows, including the Monday night special we've got coming up, as Todd Eastman and the Big Boy Renegade interview Timeless Tony Storm and Paul White ahead of AEW making their way to Australia in February.
With possibly a cameo from Jesse at Pro Wrestling League, so I can try and get some more information out of him about possibly something that's happening, possibly, maybe.
Definitely, maybe, kind of.
Definitely, maybe, kind of on the... Just put it this way. If I was someone that didn't live in Brisbane, I would try to make sure I was here for Friday morning, at least. Get here Friday morning. Just so you've got the night to acclimatise before Saturday for AEW. No other reason, just in case.
Yeah. You know,
definitely
you might
not flying in at 9 a.m. on that morning.
Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea, I reckon.
And if you want to go full Meltzer mode and give something 5 stars, we would love if you head on over to Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars for Wrestle Radio Australia. It really makes a difference to who is able to find us. You can also get our merch at Redbubble, just by searching for Wrestle Radio Australia on Redbubble. The proceeds don't go to us, they go to Beyond Blue and Gotcha for Life, 2 awesome charities supporting men's mental health here in Australia. And if you want to follow what we do elsewhere, you can catch the social media. On Twitter and Instagram, we're at Wrestle Radio AU, we're Wrestle Radio Australia on Facebook. You can follow us all individually I am at Lachlan Albert. Todd is at Beast Eastman. Jeff is at Jeff_Seti. And I'll come back and talk about the thing he's got next to him in a moment. Jamie Apps is at Jamie Apps Media. And you can find some of his projects at Pario Magazine and at OzRes Cards. Jamie, tell us about those projects.
So currently in the building stages for the 2025 set, but we've got pre-sales for the October pack are now available. And then the commentary booth live via satellite is currently rolling out, and Trent O'Day is the guest next week. And then
I mean, no, it's good.
This week is the Axe Massacre episode, so that was two very fun ones. And then Bobby Bishop is coming up down the line. So lots of fun people. Hey, it was Dragon Ball Z. I'm always going to take that opportunity to talk about Dragon Ball Z with someone.
I mean, it's just Journey to the West. Come on. All right, Jeff, I noticed you've got at Wrestle_Brainia written next to your name. What's going on with WrestleBrainia there, Mr. Seti?
Well, as was announced this week by our friends, the biggest show of the year every year. Over 200 of you come and watch us at PAX. And this year, we are back to being streamed. That's right, we're going to be streamed live as part of the Generosity Theatre. And it's going to be on Twitch. So check out the PAX Twitch stream. And I'm pleased to tell you that they are raising funds for the Black Dog Institute. So, you know, many of the same things that we talk about here are being raised by our show at PAX. So if you're going to PAX, 1:30 at the Wombat Theatre on the Saturday afternoon, get yourself in there. Lachlan, I believe you're coming to PAX.
Well, I was reliably informed by Jamie before we started that I can be heard on the YouTube video for what we talked about tonight, the Pro Wrestling League Guerrilla Warfare, yelling out from the crowd. If you want to hear my voice there, make sure you go to YouTube, search for PWL. You'll be able to find the Guerrilla Warfare show there, or you can find it in the description of this podcast. But I will be in the crowd for WrestleBrainia at PAX, so there is a non-zero chance you will be able to hear my voice yelling out nonsense on that one as well. Boys, is there anything else we need to... Oh, sorry, Jeff.
Sorry, if you're asking if WrestleBrainia will be at PAX, yes, it will. I don't think Wrestle Radio Australia is going to be at PAX this year, but who knows what next year will bring.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you missed any of the links that I mentioned going into that, head to WrestleRadioAustralia.com. You can find all of the information there. Is there anything that I haven't covered that we need to mention, boys?
No, we're at Wide Bay this weekend, Locke. Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. Come on up to Wide Bay if you can get there. It's revenge. It's going to be real good. Bobby Bishop versus Yeet Stevens for the title. It's going to be great.
And don't forget to pre-order those Oz Wrestling cards from Jamie, because they're a spectacular production.
They absolutely are.
Do the AEW tickets go on sale this week?
So there is a Foxtel pre-sale starting tomorrow, and then a Ticketmaster pre-sale on the 10th, I want to say, and then on the 16th is the general public sale. Am I right? Do those dates sound right, Jamie?
You've got
is it 16th
Foxtel
or 14th?
No, you've got Foxtel tomorrow, Friday morning, 8 a.m. I believe it is. The Tag Sport pre-sale is Monday, and then the general public is next Friday, the 13th.
Friday the 13th. There we go. Well, and look, I want to... Sorry,
Lachlan, I will be at MCW this weekend, so if you're around, come and say hi.
Excellent. We want to give a huge shout out to Jamie for joining us this episode. Jamie, it's always an absolute pleasure to have a chat to you, mate. It's always good to see you and know that we love having you around. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I will be up your way in February.
Hooray! As always, it has been such a joy making chicken salad here at twitch.tv/WrestleRadioAustralia. So make sure you join us every week at 8 p.m. On behalf of Todd Eastman and Jeff Seti and Jamie Apps, I've been Lachlan Albert. Till next time, have a good one.
Burning down the house.
Here I was, blaming AEW for feeding you chicken shit, knowing you mindless millennials would be eating it up as if it were chicken salad, when it's really been your fault all along.
Make chicken salad out of chicken.